Over 30,000 workers at Transnet, South Africa's port authority, have been striking since October the 3rd. Now, the industrial action has industry bodies calling for a resolution to be reached as soon as possible, fearing huge economic blowback if it is allowed to drag on. Logistics businesses have also warned of a catastrophic economic fallout if operations at the port authorities in Durban and Cape Town face prolonged suspension. The South African Association of Freight Forwarders says the ongoing Transnet strike has cost the economy between 100 million to 1 billion rand per day due to logistics delays to the country's supply chain. This comes amid Transnet's biggest unions, the United National Transport Union and the South African Transport Workers Union, striking after the company offered just a 3% wage hike, which workers have rejected. We'll get into the conversations around this right now with my guest. I have Anele Kiet. He's the Deputy General Secretary of the South African Transport and Allied Workers Union. Anele, thank you so much for joining me on Business Edge.
Thank you for having us. Good day to you and your listeners.
So let's start with the fact that as of right now, Transnet has offered what seems to be a revised wage increase, and that has moved from the 3% to some 4.25 to 5%. What are the unions saying about this offer?
No, as unions, we rejected that offer with the contempt it deserves. We believe that that's an insult to the workers that have worked very hard throughout difficult times. You will recall that we had COVID for 2 years, but all Transnet workers were on duty, making sure that those people who are locked in their homes, they receive food. Everything that needs to be transported, it's transported, and Transnet has made money in their process. They were able to meet their targets, and we're saying now it's time for Transnet to pay back the workers that have sacrificed their time.
Okay, so the unions are asking for between 12 and 13%. So sort of take us through how the unions arrived at those particular figures, or at least the band of 12 to 13% as the demand. What is that made up of?
Now, you will understand that last year, okay, let me start by saying we have a 2-year agreement with Transnet, but when they came back to us and requested to implement the wage increase last season in staggered installments, we understood, because at the time that Transnet was trying to make it a point that they are profitable and be able to meet their business strategies. We understood that as workers, but on the other hand, workers got affected immensely on the basis that everything went up. As we speak, what you could buy for 20 rands in South Africa, you can get it for 110 rands. Now, you will understand when workers are requesting or are making a demand of a salary that is above inflation rate in order for them to be able to participate meaningfully in the economy and be able to have a buying power.
Okay, so let me also ask about this. Are you at all concerned about how this is affecting South Africa's economy? As you said, the country is coming out of COVID. The country is also coming out of recession. But you've said that workers made those sacrifices during the time of the COVID-19. But we heard from the South African Association of Freight Forwarders that this is costing anywhere from 100 million to 1 billion rand per day as long as this strike drags out. Are the unions at all concerned about some of the direct and indirect consequences that this strike is bringing about?
It's so unfortunate that people who are making such statements are people who are earning from 500,000 to 1 million per month. So they won't understand the struggle of a worker who earns 10,000 rand, whilst that very same worker has to take care of about 6 family members. The groceries that they need to buy equals to the salary that they earn per month. So it's so unfortunate that really these statements are made by people who are rich, who can afford everything. As far as we are concerned, we have workers. We are a trade union that pushes for decent work and decent salaries. And there's nothing wrong for workers when they know that the business that they are working for, they have worked so hard and it's profitable and it can afford to give them amount of increase. And there's nothing wrong for them to make that call.
Okay, so let's look at this now. So this is a very critical sector, as I said, but Transnet also happens to be a public entity, even though it's running on its own. Now we're hearing that the Minister of Labor is involved in the conversations happening at the Commission for Conciliation, Mediation, and Arbitration. So what's the official stance, or what's the body language you're getting from government as regards this strike?
Now, look, we met with the Minister of Labor, the Minister of Public Enterprise, Pravin Gordhan, which is responsible for, for the SOEs, part of those SOEs being Transnet. We've met with the Minister of Agriculture, which is Togo Didiza. And they wanted to get a feeling, in terms of where we are as workers and why those demands. We tried to explain to them that, look, workers cannot afford anything in this day in life. But they wished us good luck in the negotiations, and they also hope that we'll be able to resolve this matter. Where we are seated, we are at the CCMA right now. We are adamant that we'll be able to reach a resolution, because we don't want to see ourselves striking for 2 weeks.
Yes,
it is not in our interest. But of course, if you want to change the lives of the workers also, they only have their muscles to make it a point that they fight for what they believe they deserve.
So the two unions involved represent about 80% of the Transnet's port rails operation workforce, and that's basically the majority. How long are the unions willing to hold out? So the Transnet has given you a revised offer. Has the union thought about adjusting its own demand at all? Is there any area for compromise? It's very unlikely Transnet will give you the 12%.
No, look, our members have given us a mandate of double digits. We are adamant that on the negotiations that we are having, on the facilitation that we are having at this point in time, management will come with a better offer that will take back to our members. Because unfortunately, as leaders, we can't take decisions on behalf of the workers. We are minded-driven unions. Therefore, our members have to accept what is put on the table by the employer. But we are so positive that today will yield results.
And thank you for touching on today. So there are more negotiations happening today. Who is at the table, and what do you think? You're saying already that you think today will yield a positive result. So who's going to be at the table, and what do you think will come at the end of today's negotiations?
Today, it's Labour, the employer, and the CCMA that is facilitating the process. We are saying we are positive of the outcomes based on the discussions that we had with government. We are of the view that they will be able to speak some sense to management, because Transnet is a state-owned entity. So in a way, they have to intervene in making sure that they resolve the impasse.
All right, Anele, Kiet, thank you so much for your time. We'll be following very closely to see how this pays out. Durban is South Africa's largest port, and South Africa has some of the biggest, largest amounts of cargo that runs through its ports every single year. So this is of interest to many of us, and we wish you all the best in the negotiations.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you.